Bună ziua! Mă numesc Cristian Calude și sunt profesor la Universitatea Auckland din Noua Zeelandă și este o mare plăcere pentru mine de a participa la o nouă ediție a Congresului Universității Apolonia din Iași. Prezentarea mea va fi legată de o nouă carte ce va apare în luna aprilie, cu titlul cel care îl vedeți pe ecran, și anume To Hold or Not to Hold, That is the Question. A te opri sau nu a te opri, a se opri ori a nu se opri, aceasta este întrebarea. Din motive de formulare tehnică voi folosi prezentarea în limba engleză, dar înainte de a începe, aș dori să spun că întrebarea din titlul acestei cărți nu se referă la problema opririi sau nu opririi cercetărilor avansate de inteligență artificială, ci este o problemă care include inteligența artificială, dar este diferită. Spunând aceste lucruri, voi începe prezentarea acestei cărți cu cele două coperte. Coperta din partea dreaptă, veți vedea, este titlul cărții, iar în coperta finală include două citări din doi eminenți cercetători în domeniul cărții și o prezentare a cărții respective. Aș dori să adaug că această carte va apare la World Scientific, o editură cu care am colaborat foarte multe ori și care întotdeauna a avut idei strălucite pentru copertă. Coperta pe care o vedeți în partea dreaptă a ecranului nu este făcută în cadrul editurii, care mi-a propus un număr de variante, și am făcut-o eu cu ajutorul unei aplicații de AI, iar editura a acceptat. Now, the last century revolutions featured several profound conceptual three theories: relativity theory, quantum theory, and computability theory. Relativity theory invalidated the Newtonian illusion of absolute space and time. Quantum theory demolished the Newtonian fantasy of controllable measurement processes. And the third one, computability theory, quashed the dreams that computers can solve all problems. What is the halting problem? The halting problem requests an algorithm or computer program that, given a set of instructions as input for an arbitrary computer program, decides in finite time whether the program will halt or run forever. That is, the program will never halt. So, in other terms, we want to have a unique computer program which, when presented a set of instructions as an input, will decide in a finite of time whether these instructions will determine a computation which eventually stops or not. So the requirement is twofold. Number one, it has to accept any set of instructions, and it has to stop in a finite amount of time and always give the correct answer, which will be yes or not. These instructions will determine a computation which stops in a finite amount of time or it doesn't stop. Now, the law of Stigler's eponymy states that no scientific discovery is named after its original discoverer. And this is the case also for the halting problem. Contrary to the view held for more than 80 years that Alan Turing stated and proved the undecidability of the halting problem, I will immediately explain what does it mean. In his seminal 1936 paper, Lucas, a very young researcher, proved 3 years ago that Martin Davis formulated in 1958 this problem and proved it had no solution. In August 2021, I asked Martin Davis why he had been silent for so many years. He referred to his review of Lucas' paper to appear soon at that stage in Mathematical Reviews. Mathematical Reviews is a very important publication in which all articles, papers, and books in mathematics are reviewed by experts in their domains. So the review, in fact, arrived in October, a little bit later, but not much, but it didn't have an answer to my question. Martin Davis was too modest. So, once again, the halting problem is the problem to decide in a finite amount of time whether computation stops or not, and it is required that always gives a right answer. But it seems that the halting problem is just a very uninteresting, a petty question. Why bother? Even more, why write a book about it? After all, you run the program and wait till it stops, no? But what if the program continues after a reasonable time, a week, a year, a decade? Can we infer that it will never stop? A short reflection suggests that we cannot say that the program will never stop, no matter how long the computation has run without stopping. And indeed, the negative answer was proved over 70 years ago by Martin Davis, as we discussed already. Computers, classical and conventional, like quantum ones, which are very fashionable, are drastically limited. Not only are their problems unsolvable by computers, but these problems outnumber by far the problems computers can solve. And then, once proves the algorithmic unsolvability of a program, this is forever. So the impossibility for computers to solve many problems or to decide many questions is not a very peripheral phenomenon, is the rule, if you wish. Most problems, mathematical or problems which can be translated into mathematics, are unsolvable by all sorts of computers, classical or unconventional. So what sorts of problems computers cannot solve? Are they esoteric, imagined only in the minds of mathematicians? Are they peripheral or of no concern to the practice of computing science and even more outside IT? The answers are negative to both questions. Even some everyday problems people have to solve are algorithmically unsolvable. So, IT consequences of the unsolvability of the halting problem. So in this slide, I will discuss briefly problems which are unsolvable because of the unsolvability of the halting problem, which are problems typical for IT. So when I say unsolvability because of the halting problem, this means that the reasoning in proving their unsolvability is the following. We assume that the problem has an algorithmic solution, and we derive from this hypothesis the fact that the halting problem can be solvable by an algorithm, and this will contradict the result which we started with. So what kind of consequences we have here? And I have enumerated the following. Can mathematics be done by computers only without needing more than a dozen mathematicians? So in other terms, can we program our computers to do mathematics and leave this task to just a few mathematicians or not? Can software testing and validating be done by computers only without the need of more than a few computer scientists? So you know how important software testing and validating is, because you probably face this problem almost monthly, if not more frequently, when your programs and applications are tested, and then they need updates, they need patches, and so on. By the way, testing at the level of big software companies cost as much as the development of programs and algorithms done on those companies. Can we write an antivirus program that never needs any updates? Can we write a perfectly secure operating system? You know that hacking is something in the news almost daily, and the most secure or seemingly secure websites have been hacked. Can we write a perfectly secure operating system which, you know, stops forever hacking? Will artificial intelligence solve all practical problems of humanity? And the answers to all these questions are negative. Now, are there non-IT questions which could be related to the halting problem? And here we have three of them. Do humans have free will, or do our brains automatically generate thoughts and decisions? Is complete disorder possible? Do spurious correlation affect science, economy, or biology? And finally, can the rules of chess, including the rule of the draw, which forces a finite ending, allow a never-ending game? Can you guess the answer to these questions? Can you think of how to relate, at least informally, those questions to the problem of the halting? More questions in my final presentations. Sometimes my students ask unconventional questions about the halting problems, and here are a few questions and my answers. The first one is, what is your preferred application of the undecidability of the halting problem? And my answer is the link between the halting problem and Gödel's incompleteness. Gödel's incompleteness is a famous mathematical result, which in a sense is the parallel of the halting problems in the area of probability. So the halting problem is about impossibility in computing. Gödel's incompleteness is about impossibility in proving things. And the second one is, what is the most unexpected application of the undecidability of the halting problem? And my answer is none. When you start understanding the halting problem, nothing is unexpected. And the last one is, what is the most expensive consequence of undecidability of the halting problem? the most expensive is the impossibility of automatic software testing for semantic correctness. So there is no way that computers can automatically test for semantical correctness the immense number of applications and programs which are running right now or which are now in the process of being invented with and without AI. Thank you very much for your participation to this presentation, and if you would be in mid-May in Bucharest, we can talk in person. Thank you very much, and all the best for this important event in science and culture in Romania.